Okay, so now we're going to look at some of the memory options on the machine. Now, if I choose a stitch, and I'm going to go and choose my zigzag stitch number 2, and I change it so I make it wider and longer, I can then go off and do another stitch, so I might want to do a bit of straight stitching. When I return to stitch number 2, it's remembered the changes I have made, and this is called your temporary memory. Now this will happen on all your stitches while the machine is on. If I turn the machine off, it will forget and it will all go back to the default setting. So it's temporarily remembered the changes I've made. Now when changing the width and length, I can do that with my dials here. But if I want to tweak it or fine tune anything, I can press where the number is, and that brings up a separate screen and I can tweak that. So I could take it up a very small amount, or I could set it back to the default by just tapping there, and then that's gone back to my default, and then I can come out. So there are 2 ways of changing the width and the length on your machine. If I press clear now though, that will get rid of any overriding and it will go back to the standard setting. So this is just good to remember that if you've been sewing and you select a stitch and it doesn't look how you thought it should, maybe that's the temporary memory that's come into play, and there's nothing to worry about. You just need to press clear and it will go back to the default setting. Another way you can change another memory option on this machine is that you can actually change the default setting of it. So let's say, for instance, when I turn my machine on, my straight stitch is always 2.5 mil long. But let's say I like to work with a 3 mil stitch length. So what I could do is I could change it. I could take it up to 3. Then I can go into information and I press this button here, the picture of the floppy disk. Now that changes the default setting. So what happens is I could turn my machine off, turn it back on again, and when I turn it back on again, it will come back as 3. The new default setting is 3. So that means each time I turn my machine on, I don't have to go around and reset it. It will come back as I want it, which is 3. Then if maybe I change my mind at a later date, then I can go in and I can cancel that out by pressing the picture of the floppy disk with the line through it. And now it's gone back to the factory setting of 2.5. So I can change the default setting by using these 2 icons, which are in my information button. Your machine really tries to help you out, and it's got lots of information on screen that can help you work out what all the different icons do. So if you're not sure about something or you want more information on it, what you can do is you can press home and you can go into this icon, which is tutorials, and this tells you all about the different features and functions of the machine. It's basically like a manual but on screen. So if I wanted to learn about my personal program, which is what we're going to look at now, I could go into miscellaneous, I could go into personal memory, and here it tells me all about it, what that function does, and I can scroll up and down and it tells me all the information I need. Then I can just press across, come out and go back to sewing. So we're going to look at personal program, which is this little icon of the heart here. Now this is like your own personal stitch library. So let's say I've selected a zigzag, I've made it wider, and I've made it the stitch length really short. So I've basically made a satin stitch, which we'll look at a bit later. Let's say I want to use that in tomorrow. I don't want to change my default setting to be this because I'm not going to use it all the time, but I would like to use it at a later date. So what I can do is I can save it into my personal program. So I press the heart. Then I want to enter it into a folder. So I have a picture of a folder with an arrow going in. So I press that folder in the middle. Then 4 different folders appear and I can choose which one I'd like to use for this stitch. I'm going to go for folder 1. Unfortunately you can't name these, but I'm going to go for folder 1 and I'm going to press my green tick, and that's it, saved in my personal program. So tomorrow if I wanted to do a satin stitch, I could go in and find it and bring it out. So let's say, for instance, I've gone off and done a bit of straight stitch, done something different. I think, oh yes, now I'd like that satin stitch back. I go back into the heart. This time I'm taking it out of a folder, so I have an arrow coming out, the top one. Tap there. I remember I've put it in folder 1 and I tap on screen, and now I've got that stitched back and it's ready to use. So that's my personal program. Now, if I go back a stage and I want to bin it, I don't want to use it anymore or keep it, then I just press the picture of the bin. I find where I've put it, confirm with the green tick, and now that's gone and I have nothing in my personal program. We're all nice and clear and I have 100% left. So that's personal program in the corner.